Hey friends, are you looking for a super fun breakfast idea now that the kids are back in school? Well, here you go. I'm going to show you how to make French toast 6 different ways using cereal. We're going to start by the base, which is 2 eggs, a splash of milk, and a little bit of vanilla. And we're going to stir this up. Now this will make about 4 to 6 pieces of French toast. And our first one we're going to try is Apple Jacks, one of my husband's favorites. This just has a great cinnamon flavor. It just is like nostalgia. So we're going to cut that up and put it in the bowl. I did pound it out with my rolling pin a little bit just to make the pieces a little bit smaller. Now we're going to dip our bread into our egg mixture, and I like to use a thick bread like a Texas toast. And then we're going to just fully coat the Apple Jacks on that bread. Now we're going to make this in a pan on the stove with a little bit of oil, and the key here is to keep your flame low because you want to make sure that the egg mixture gets fully cooked, and because it's not completely touching the pan, it needs to go slower and longer, if that makes sense. So after it becomes lightly browned, we're going to flip those over. And now I just paired this with some strawberries this morning. We ate this over Labor Day weekend, and we had 2 different kinds each day for 3 days. Add a little Ready Whip, make it look pretty. Now the second one we had on the first day was Fruity Pebbles, and I'm going to tell you guys this was definitely my favorite of all 6 cereals. It was the easiest. I didn't have to pound it out at all. It was the prettiest. Think about unicorn breakfast. This is it. Colorful, flavorful, a little hint of that Fruity Pebbles flavor, not too sweet, just really delicious and super fun and colorful. Again, we're just going to cook that in a pan with a little bit of oil until it's golden brown. And then we're going to flip those over. Again, I like to cook it on a lower heat. It takes a little bit longer, but then that way the bread and the egg mixture get completely cooked. Again, because they're not touching the metal pan as well. Now we paired this one with a little bit of blueberries, again with the Ready Whip to make it look fun and pretty. A perfect unicorn breakfast. Now the next one, this is day 2, so we're going to make our egg mixture again. Eggs, splash of milk. You can put vanilla in. This day we didn't, mostly because I forgot, but that's okay. It happens. And we're going to do Cocoa Krispies. This was my second favorite. These were so good. Add our thick sliced bread, coat it in the egg mixture, and then coat it in those Cocoa Krispies. Now, the one thing you have to be careful with this is you don't really know when to flip when it's golden brown because they're already brown. So you have to be careful on that so you don't burn them. But guys, this was delicious. And you know what's so much fun? When I fried these on the stove, they actually snap, crackled, and popped. And again, we're going to want to make sure that we're cooking these slow and for a little bit longer than normal French toast. You can see where they did get a little bit golden brown. I served these with pears fresh off my pear tree, and that was a great breakfast. Again with the Ready Whip because it just makes everything a little bit more fun. And the second one we tried on this day was Frosted Flakes. Now this one is great. I broke it up a little bit with my fingers just so the pieces were a little bit smaller. But you know, Frosted Flakes has a great crunch and a great sweetness. It made these perfect. And I do want to note with these, we didn't add syrup or butter or anything to these. They didn't need it because the cereal gives it just that little bit of sweet, just sweet, delicious flavor, but not overly sweet. So we're going to cook these 2 just until they get golden brown. And you can see that definitely on these. It's a lot easier to see. And we paired these again with our fresh pears from our pear tree and a little bit of Ready Whip on top to make it look pretty. I think powdered sugar would look great on that too. And now the last day. We're going to start again with our 2 eggs, a little bit of milk, a little bit of vanilla, stir that all up. I was a little bit more disappointed on this day. These 2 were not my favorite. I had high expectations for the Cinnamon Toast Crunch because it's one of my favorite cereals. But the texture is just, it's different. It's not as crunchy. And to me, it was a little bit more, I don't want to say stale because they tasted good, but it just wasn't quite as crispy crunchy. But the cinnamon flavor was perfect on this. So that, it does get high points for me for the cinnamon flavor. Coat it all in that Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You saw I also did break that up a little bit with the rolling pin. This was hard to get it to stick on the bread, so I did have to kind of press it down. We're going to fry those again, just like the other, until they're golden brown. Now, I do think my husband really liked these. The texture didn't bother him at all. I think this was one of his favorites. I made a third one today because my mom was here for breakfast. And now once they are golden brown, I serve those up on a plate as well. And again, we're going to add a little Ready Whip. You can certainly do the powdered sugar like I had said before. And now the very last one, and to me this was the worst one, and it was Pops. And I think for this, they just, you know, Pops has that kind of stale taste anyway. So to me they tasted kind of stale, and you'll see in a minute, it just reminded me of eating like burnt popcorn kernels. This one, you know, I'm including it in the video because we did it, but I would not recommend. 1 out of 10 would not recommend this one. It's hard because they're such big pieces. It was hard for the bread and the egg mixture to get fully cooked in there without burning these. And you'll see when I flip them over, they're a little too dark, and a few of them actually turned a little bit black. But my husband liked them. He liked the flavor. I think for him it was nostalgia of the Pops. But we did it. It was okay. I hope you guys try some of these. Definitely go for the Fruity Pebbles. That was the best. But this is a great fun breakfast for your kids on a weekend. Enjoy!